following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And how about this? We are live in studio inside the SWBC Mortgage Studios at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. This is Mick Shots. We've got a new team with all the draft picks. We've got a new season staring us in the face. We might even have a new schedule coming up next week. And we've got a new show for you right here. And wow, it's great. You know what the best thing about being back live in studio is that I'm not using my iPad as my camera, so I can actually
look things up.
I can look things up on my iPad, and I know
Everson, you feel so stumped.
Yeah, you feel the same way. And we can't get Everson off his phone over here.
And you don't have to worry about your Wi-Fi. Everson doesn't have to worry about connecting his volume.
Right. That's right.
And I had to switch seats, but I've got all this plexiglass in front of me. I feel like I'm at a hockey game.
And I have to wear pants. So, yeah.
Oh, no.
It's different, man. Right. It's way different.
But it looks good. You guys look good. Everybody looks the same,
my best cowboy shirt on. I love this color.
I just came from working out. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Hopefully you showered.
I did not shower.
Oh, no.
I took my
good.
workout shirt off.
That's what the plexiglass is for.
Exactly. Grabbed a golf shirt and put it on, and here we are. I mean,
hey, it's a bunch of guys around here, man. We're not that vain. We're good. We're good.
So, you got anything to talk about on this edition of Mick Shots?
Boy, I think we got a whole bunch of things between the drafts, some of the picks, what you like, what you didn't like.
Let you know how bad my pick was for the Cowboys.
Well, we found out a little more about that. It wasn't that you had a bad pick there. He had an issue, apparently, that made him
had a
drop.
Medical issue.
Yeah, a medical issue that apparently who did he go to? Cleveland.
Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
Yeah, Cleveland,
good young team.
They got
nice
to the bottom of it,
team.
and he got cleared in time to be drafted in the second round.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And as we go forth in the career of one Kelvin Joseph, the Cowboys' second-round pick, the cornerback, we'll be also charting what JOK does with the Cleveland Browns in his career.
Yeah.
That's one of the great things.
He should do well. That's a nice young team there. I think he'll fit in real good there in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And we'll get rid of the elephant in the room right now because my pick was their pick. How about that?
In fact, yes. Mickey, ever since he saw that first highlight film of Micah Parsons,
I've been killing him with this.
I mean, this was back.
Me too. No, you sold us all.
Mickey doesn't.
Spags.
Mickey, because he's so busy during the season, doesn't look at any of these guys. And I was kind of like that this year. The college season was so disjointed that I wasn't paying that close of attention. And so as soon as the Cowboys season was over, I think Mickey got on YouTube and he had heard about this Micah Parsons character, and he immediately said, well, I got my pick for the Cowboys right there.
Yes.
And sure enough.
Yes.
I wanted to see somebody else that showed up better than this guy because he was the best defensive player in the draft and most versatile. You know, they keep showing the highlights from this Memphis game.
At AT&T Stadium, the Cotton Bowl.
Right. But I saw highlights against other teams, like the Big Ten teams. And he's just so instinctive and so versatile and so big and fast.
Athletic.
And it's like he had 14 tackles in that game, 2 for losses. He had a couple sacks. He had a forced fumble, a pass broken up. And they still scored 30-some points against Penn State.
Did they really?
Yeah,
Wow.
It was like a 53-39 game or something like that, 53-34.
But, I mean, if you look at all of his games, they all look just like this.
Right?
I mean, they all look like this to where he's making tackles for losses. It seems as if he intimidates the opponent as he approaches them because his aggressiveness is so quick, it's so fast, it's in your face, and before you know it, you're like a deer in headlights, and they just stand there, and he takes them down so quickly. It's not like he sizes them up or anything like that. No, he goes directly for it. He's heat-seeking. I think he said, did the water boy?
Yeah.
The water boy, see ball, go the ball, or something like that. And that's pretty much how he does it. He looks like water boy out there.
And I'll tell you what, when you see him in person, he doesn't look that big. But he measured 6'3.5", 246, and
a 4.36.
Yeah, and a 4.36.
Impressive. And see, that's where it comes from. Not only does he have speed, it's controlled speed. It's not like he's just out of control. They had a lot of criticism about JOK in regards to in space. Sometimes he is out of control. He's going so fast for it that he misses a lot of tackles. Parsons doesn't necessarily have that critique because he's more of a sure tackler, and he approaches at just the right angle, and he approaches it quickly. And that's what I like about it.
Yeah, and I didn't know if he was that instinctive or if he prepared so well that he was seeing things ahead of time. And I think the answer I got was he's pretty instinctive, which is a good trait, right? And I thought he handled himself well in the press conference. It seems to have a nice personality. Sound like he was
pretty
funny about the family moving here. And he goes, "Yeah, they can move here, but they ain't getting my address. We can meet at the restaurant."
And they're all Cowboy fans, so they're going to be bugging the heck out of Jerry Jones, I'm sure, throughout the entire season.
They came in here, a dad and one of his brothers, and they were walking through like they owned the place and doing interviews.
Like, hey, this is where we belong. We've been.
Right?
They could see this a long time ago in their future because they were Cowboy fans all the way, living in Pennsylvania. So that's
Imagine
tough. That's true Cowboy fans when you're a Cowboy fan in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, absolutely. So, everybody. I know everybody wanted a corner. I get it. They were gone, and I heard somebody say, "Oh, when the two corners went, the Cowboys just got discombobulated." They did not. They had planned ahead what was going to take place if the two corners had been gone. And Stephen Jones talked about it, how they went through scenarios. If they're gone, then what are we going to do? And they knew what they were going to do.
They were so prepared that they were able to trade down and pick up an extra third-round pick and still get their guy because they were prepared enough to know what the Giants were looking for, what the Giants roster looked like. They have a middle linebacker. They're not going to be interested in Parsons. They need to improve their offense, which is what they wind up trading down. And they picked up a future first-round pick. They got Kadarius Toney at number 20, a wide receiver, and then they knew the Eagles were coming up for a wide receiver because they were desperate for a wide receiver, and they knew that if with Devontae Smith, he was going to either play for the Giants or the Eagles. So,
yeah, exactly, and that's why this whole thing is so 1980s. Oh, you traded with a team from the NFC East and you gave him Devontae. And one of the two was going to get Devontae Smith.
And as it turned out, the Eagles were going to get Devontae Smith because the Bears were still going to trade up with the Giants and they were going to trade down because they were offering a first-round pick. And I think that, and I'm sure the Cowboys had that same offer from the Bears. But I think it was prudent on the Cowboys' part to go ahead and get Micah Parsons because you're trading down to 20 and you're not getting the same type player.
And then this notion that they should have traded up. Well, the two teams ahead of them, that's who they were going to take. Right. They're not going to trade with you because you got to come clean and say, okay, what do you want? Oh, that's who we're taking. We're not interested. So you couldn't trade up with either of those two teams. And probably to go above both of them, you were going to give up a third-round pick, if not more.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a second-round pick.
Yeah,
just like you did when you went up to get Mo Claiborne.
I just wasn't in the same area code in regards to drafting a cornerback. I would have been pretty upset. It would have been another insurrection at the Star. That would have been a one-man insurrection. I would have been up there.
So the cornerback didn't want a cornerback.
The cornerback did not want a cornerback. I'm sitting there with Brad Sham. I was at a draft party. I'm sitting there with Brad Sham. Hadn't seen him in a while. It's so great to talk to him. And, of course, Brad's, he's kind of like Spags. I mean, you've seen so much. You know what I mean? You're not going to be surprised by anything. As much as he wanted Parsons, just like you wanted Parsons, he was pretty realistic about the Cowboys might take Slater. You know, when it was left there, he's like, well, we might take Slater. And I'm
that's
all
the other
in
guy.
his ear.
Yeah,
I mean, like, man, why would we take Slater? We need somebody to stop the run. Slater can't stop the run. And of course, he's being, you know, just being like you guys, you know, very, very matter of fact about it. And I would not have been happy if we would have chosen Surtain. I just wouldn't.
Surtain, the corner?
Not the cornerback. No, I would not have been happy with he or Horn
or the offensive tackle.
That's just not what we needed. This is what we needed. This is the kind of guy we need on this team. Let's face it, quarterback is always the leader of the team, but mostly the leader of the offense. A good, strong, just a capable middle linebacker. That's the leader of the defense.
Well, in Mickey, you hit on it in the way he handled himself at the press conference and so forth. He just has a confident swagger about him. You know, he walks into the room and you can tell that he's not, you know, in his interviews, he's not real outspoken, but just watching him converse with people, he was kind of like that. He was kind of the alpha personality in the room when he walked in.
And I want somebody like that on the field.
Sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
And I can really see it taking it to the nth degree when he's in the locker room. You know, he's going to be walking in that locker room, and you're going to know, oh, that's the first-round draft pick that just walked in.
And you're going to know that's the middle linebacker. That's
Exactly.
what you're going to know, because he's not going to be sitting there talking about being in a zen moment after a game, after we got run off for like 300-plus yards, you know, talking about where he is in life and the cosmos and all that. No, I want a dude. And this is just me. I like middle linebackers who are intelligent and instinctive, but I don't want to be too smart. You know, I want to be, you know, I just want to be able to say, look, hey, go run through that wall. All right. I'm going to run through that wall. I don't want to be like, well, let me see. What material is that? No, I don't know if I want to. No, I want a guy that's going to be like, you know what? Don't ask me to do it. I'm going to do it, and I want you guys to follow me. That's the kind of dude he is.
And you know what? He's going to be the best interview on the team, too.
Yeah. Oh, you know? Absolutely.
You got to watch the PR. They're going to have to watch what he says sometimes because he keeps it real.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't put on any airs when he talks. You know, but he says whatever's on his mind.
And that's they need that.
They
right?
need it. They need it.
It's almost like, you know how a quarterback, usually everybody kind of they're going to gravitate to this guy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right? They will gravitate.
And we're going to be
him.
apologizing for him. I'd love to do that. Just apologize for him because he's going to say something crazy.
Right?
He's going to do something crazy. I love it. That's what middle linebackers
do. and the beauty of he's versatile. So, you know, they talked about him being like a designated pass rusher, too. So if you got multiple linebackers on the field, you don't know what that guy's responsibility is going to be. He can drop into coverage.
Yes, he can.
He can rush the quarterback. He can spy the quarterback. You know, and if it's a passing down, he can still play the run.
I agree.
Right?
Hey, you heard Dan Quinn.
Right.
You heard him talk about we're not a 3-4, but it's going to look at times will look like a 3-4. They can have a package out there, even in their base defense. They could have a package out there with the skill set that both these rookie linebackers have, Jabril Cox as well as Micah Parsons, where you can have all four of those linebackers on the field at the same time. I mean, Parsons could play any linebacker spot. Jabril Cox, he is best on the outside. Okay,
he reminds me of JOK.
He reminds me of JOK. So you could run a 3-4 and have Leighton and Jalen in the middle, or you can have Leighton and Parsons in the middle, and you can have Jalen on one side and Cox on the other side. Yeah. You really could.
And absolutely.
That might be the best defense they put out there.
And then just keep Leighton Vander Esch healthy.
Yeah.
And this will be the best linebacking core they've had as a group in quite some time. And everybody says, well, is the linebacker going to win a game for you? These guys can win a game for you.
Yes, you can control a game from
Absolutely.
the linebacker position. Of course you can.
And you know, and hopefully that the dump truck that they drafted to play the nose tackle at 330 pounds, Bohanna, keeps some people off of those guys.
Right. That's what Randy White has always said. You know, because for years I did pregame show on CBS 11 with the Manster, and he always said, "What we need is that big bazooka in the middle. I don't understand why we don't get that big bazooka in the middle." And they got the big bazooka.
Looking for another John Dutton. That's what he wants.
Quentin Bohanna is their big bazooka in the middle.
Now, hopefully he can play, right? Being big's
I
one
think he
thing.
just has to stand
Just
there.
stand there. Did you
They thought they were getting that with Don Terry Poe.
Did you catch what Quinn had to say about him when he talked about him Saturday night when he came in for his interview, and somebody asked him about that. He goes, "Yeah," he goes, and I think the guy he's versatile enough. We'll put him on the edge. And there was this silence. He goes, "Okay, just kidding." He goes, "He's a nose tackle." And he goes, "Sometimes he's going to play right here," meaning over the center. And he said other times he's going to play right here.
Like 6 inches over.
Yeah, right.
That's on the edge.
He is.
He's going to
He is
play
not
on the
going
edge of the
anywhere.
The edge of the center shoulder. Yeah, that's
Right? And then the good thing is they did draft a couple guys to play inside, veteran guys that can hold down the fort and maybe till some of these young guys are ready to go. But not at linebacker, because this guy is going to be ready to go. And I'll tell you what, and even I saw Rich Dalrymple, the Cowboys PR director, was taking him somewhere, I don't know, and I was walking behind him. And it was like he was talking to Rich like they had been best friends. Like, it just came so easy to him. Can't wait till he gets here.
And you look back in his history. I know we've said ever since Jalen's been here, because he's a player that's best going forward, that, okay, rush him, play him at rush in. And they've used him on the line at times, a lot of times like as an inside rush or whatever, but he hasn't worked at it. He's not, Parsons has it in his background as an edge rusher going back to 8th grade, well, even before 8th grade,
Right.
probably.
defensive end. He was a defensive end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when he went to Penn State, they recruited him, and he thought he was going to be an edge rusher, and they moved him to linebacker. Everson, remember what you were doing in 8th grade?
Not really. I don't think I was playing football. I was at Richardson Junior High, which does not exist anymore.
And you weren't, but it fed into Berkner High School.
Yes, it
okay.
did. Yes, it did.
Now in Texas, an 8th grader can't play varsity football. But if an 8th grader,
they wanted me, but my mom said no.
Yeah, if an 8th grader could play varsity football in Texas, would you have played on the varsity? What level would you have played on as an 8th grader?
If I was considered.
Yeah.
If they considered me playing a varsity, I'm playing varsity.
You would love to play varsity. Would you play varsity? I mean, would you have made the varsity?
If they considered me, come on, man, you talking to a guy who's got a lot of confidence,
he'd
man.
Have been playing basketball.
But yeah.
You play varsity basketball.
I want to play varsity basketball. Definitely, that would have been the case. Yes.
Micah Parsons started on the varsity as an 8th grader in Pennsylvania.
You're lying.
No. He started on the varsity. He put up big numbers. As a freshman in high school, he had like 18 and a half sacks. Wow. And then he transferred to Harrisburg High School, one of the high schools.
Man.
And then by the time he was a senior, he was a running back and a defensive end.
I saw that, yeah.
So
nobody wanted to tackle him.
Yeah.
Running back, he's my personal protector on the punt team because we're going to snap him the ball.
Interesting.
Well,
Don't spill the beans, man.
Oh, okay,
don't spill the beans, Spags.
Like the NFL doesn't know that Fossil's got that. He never runs trick plays on
No, never.
Yeah, we need to slow Fossils down. We need to slow him down a little bit. Yeah. Fossils down.
Okay, we'll move on in our next segment. We'll move on to the second round pick because I want to get the cornerback talking about the cornerback there. But how about the way the draft started and with the third pick, Trey Lance going to San Francisco?
Yeah, I wasn't sure they were going there. I thought they had moved up for.
I mean, that's what everyone
Justin
thought.
Fields,
Mac
Jones
Jones,
or Justin Fields,
because they didn't let anybody in their organization know that it was going to be Trey Lance.
Yeah,
that is an extremely risky pick.
But I love it.
Expensive,
I love it
though. How much it cost them to move up to get him?
Yeah, I mean, it's first-round draft picks and a third or whatever this year,
and then next year,
three once. Yeah,
he hadn't thrown 400 passes. Am I correct?
No, 318 passes in his career.
Yeah.
Now he's awfully
barely throwing 300.
He's awfully athletic, though. When I saw his,
no doubt about it. But my goodness.
But the reason I love it is because Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, but Shanahan had the conviction that this guy is my guy, and they don't care what any of the so-called experts are saying about it or anybody else in the league are saying about it. This is my guy, and he's only 20 years old. He doesn't have to play this year. Patrick Mahomes didn't play his rookie year. Yeah. I've got a quarterback in Garoppolo that's taken our team to the Super Bowl, but it's worth this investment. I believe in this guy so much that, and I heard an interview with John Lynch and Shanahan. They were, back in January, Shanahan late at night called Lynch and said, I'm just mesmerized by this guy.
His personality is amazing.
Yeah.
No, he gives great interviews.
Yeah, but he was talking about the film that he's watching of him.
Of course.
And so Lynch said he stayed up till 2:30 in the morning watching him, and that's when they knew they had their guy. That was back in January, and of course, you knew they had someone that they had pegged to give up that much.
They're not
giving up that much just on a
It wasn't
you
like
barely
the women.
throw 300 passes.
We'll just take somebody. Yeah, right, exactly. Hey, and before we go to break, since we were on the linebackers, let's just clear up this notion that the Cowboys didn't pick up Leighton Vander Esch's fifth-year option because they drafted these other linebackers, Parsons and Jabril Cox, and next year they're not going to need Leighton Vander Esch. They didn't pick up the option because of the salary cap. They were trying to negotiate an extension to decrease his cap hit next year, which is $9.1 million guaranteed. And they felt like not knowing what the cap's going to be, not knowing what the revenue this year in the NFL is going to be with how many people are going to be allowed to go to games, you just couldn't afford $9 million at that one position at linebacker. So they'll continue, and Steven said it, they'll continue to try to sign him to an extension to lower what that cap hit is next year. They want Leighton Vander Esch on this team. They want him, as Steven said, I want him here for 4 or 5 more years, but we got to be smart on how we structure the contract. So that's why it wasn't picked up. It didn't have anything to do with who they drafted or Leighton isn't good enough. And then the other safety thing they probably wanted to do is put some roster bonus, or not roster bonus, per game bonuses in there because of his injury history. And you can still earn the money, but you got to be on the field. So
I just knew right away. I'm thinking, okay, we drafted all these linebackers and no telling what we signed afterwards. I thought he was out. Considering his injuries and things of that nature, I thought that the Cowboys had washed their hands of him. I mean, kind of glad to hear that they haven't, because, of course, he's an amazing player. And I've noted to you guys, just worried about that injury, worried about the neck injury. I know they say it's no big deal, but, being a linebacker and all the hits he's going to make, I was very concerned. And I thought they were so concerned that they just said, we're not going to do it.
And, he played last year. The neck wasn't a problem. And I would have thought the problem would have been, do I want to stick my neck in there to make a tackle?
Right,
Am I putting my head in there with my helmet? And he really didn't have that problem. Right. The problem was he broke his collarbone, and he didn't have an off season, right? He was able to rehab coming back from the neck surgery, but then you missed the first game. It was the first series, I think. And now you're out 4 or 5 weeks, and you're switching positions from outside to inside. And I just thought towards the end he was starting to get his sea legs under him, and then he did the ankle thing. So to me, he's the best linebacker on the team. And I know Parsons is really good, but we ain't seen it yet.
We ain't seen it yet, no.
Right?
That's a true statement. He's
and
the
this
best
other
linebacker on that
assumption,
team.
and Bill, we'll go to the rest of the draft, is that the Cowboys fixed their defense by taking 8 guys. Well, all 8 aren't going to make this team. I'll guarantee you that. And you would want them to, but it's probably not going to happen. And they're not all going to go out there and play right away either.
And they're not all going to go out there and play well right away.
When
they are playing. The rookies.
Not every rookie goes out there and gets 11 interceptions.
I know, man. That's a tough thing, man. The bar is set so high. I'm sorry. I'm just doing my job.
All right. The cornerback didn't want to draft a cornerback. I wonder if he wanted to draft a cornerback in the second round. Let's find out coming back next year on Mick Shots.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
Just like all of you, we at SeatGeek can't wait until we're back in the stands at full strength cheering on the Cowboys and singing along to our favorite songs again. We're using this time to make discovering, buying, and selling tickets to events in Dallas easier. Plus, every ticket purchased on SeatGeek is protected by our buyer guarantee, which means you'll get your money back or better if your event is canceled. Guaranteed. Download the SeatGeek app today, and when the time is right, let's go. SeatGeek.
Back to Mick Shots.
Dallas Cowboys football and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders dance youth camps are back this summer. All right, they're back this summer for athletes and dancers of all skill levels. Save $25 with early bird pricing now through May 10th. Spots are limited. Register today at dallascowboys.com/academy.
Got any kids you need to send to that?
I've almost got grandkids that are getting to be that age. Oldest grandkid is 4. So I was asking the other day, when can we start playing some youth games so I can go watch them play? They start them probably earlier than 4, but he hadn't started yet. All right, we continue on here. It is great that they've got the camps back. You know, I was, as an aside, the Rangers played the Red Sox on Saturday. They had 35,000 fans in the stands, and I tuned in the Red Sox announcers on the game, and the Red Sox announcers could not believe that there were 35,000.
Welcome to Texas, big boy.
They were saying, well, the Red Sox are getting beat. And it was 8-6 or something. And Dak was at the game. And Dak looked like he was having a good time. And the Red Sox announcers not only sounded defeated because the Red Sox are getting defeated, but they really sounded defeated that there were 35,000 fans in the stands. And partner, I don't see very many masks.
No. They keep saying you have masks are mandated. That makes no sense. I could always say, well, I have a beer. All you got to do is walk around with a beer and no mask.
Well, you heard what happened. You heard what happened the opener, right, when they had 38,000 there. And I saw the story twice. Some guy bought a hot dog, and he held it in his hand for 9 innings. To make sure if the ushers came by to tell him, hey, mask up,
come on,
it's like
man.
eating this hot dog.
Man. Give me a break.
All right, let's move to the second round of the draft, and with the 44th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Kelvin Joseph, cornerback from Kentucky. First off, Mickey, do you think that the Cowboys were trying to trade up in the second round, maybe package that extra third-round pick that they got in the trade with the Eagles to try to move up to get a different cornerback?
Yes, I think they were. Unfortunately,
that cornerback went first to Jacksonville.
He went first to Jacksonville, so you couldn't have made the trade with Jacksonville, right? And I think they were trying to do something with the Jets at the second spot. They just there was no sense doing it after
once Tyson Campbell went to
Campbell
Jacksonville.
And then I think they were trying again to get up And unfortunately, Atlanta wanted Richie Grant, the safety from Central Florida. So it wasn't from a lack of trying. And then they might have. I don't know if they would have taken the safety in the second round that high at 11 or at 12. But Las Vegas took care of that, right? They took, how do I say it, Merrick?
Yeah,
Merrick. It's Merrick.
It's Merrick from Texas
Trayvon
Christian.
Merrick from TCU.
So those guys went off the board, and it's like, okay, so the best corner remaining that fit their needs. I know everybody talked about Asante Samuel, but they didn't want a short corner. So
clearly, when you look at the other corners that they took later.
So it's like, okay, the most the most talented corner is Kelvin Joseph. Now, have we vetted him well enough to take care of our concerns about his character to make sure it's worth taking him at that spot?
All right, Mr. Cornerback, what do you think of Kelvin Joseph?
Oh, I like the pick. I really did. I mean, when you're looking at Trevon Merrick
yep.
being taken. First of all, you can't have two Trevons on the team. That's just too confusing. One corner on one side, one on the other. That's just. But this guy here is very interesting. Very interesting young man. You talk about vetting him. He's very, how can I put it, diverse. He has 4 albums.
Have you listened to any of his work?
I have not listened to his work, but dude, you gotta play some ball here. You know what I'm saying?
You're not into Boss Man Fat?
Right. No, I'm not into that. I'm sorry. I haven't heard it.
Neither was LSU.
Yeah, and then that's why I would imagine that's why he transferred. So he seems to be a very headstrong young man, which is good as a cornerback. That's what you got to have. You have to be an individual. That seems like what he is. And I tell you what, he's not afraid of anybody. And most cornerbacks will say that. But he has gone up against the best. He's gone up against the Heisman Trophy guys. He's gone against guys that at Alabama. He's in the SEC, which has some of the best wide receivers in the country, and he has held his own. He's got I think 5 picks.
Yeah, he had 4 picks last year.
4 picks last year. He does very well on the knockdowns. His coverage is good. Dude runs like a 4.3.
Well, he said that, obviously these pro days, you got different stopwatches on them, and there were some that had him under 4.3 at a 4.28.
Oh.
I think officially they had him down at like a 4.34.
Yeah, that's official.
Yeah.
So that's the average.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you just have to give that guy some kind of love. Like I say, he's not afraid of anybody, and that's what I like about guys like that. You're talking about size. He's only 5'11". Which he's not Asante Samuel Jr., but I'm looking at a guy a little bit shorter than me.
And they've got him at 5'11 and a half, so give him another half inch.
We might well say 6 feet there.
I know, that's right.
6 foot corner. Okay, let's
and
give
we
it
can
that.
give him 200 pounds. They got him
he's at
197.
Yeah, 97. Okay, here we go. It depends on what he had to eat that next day. So. No, I think that's a good pick. You need a guy who's been through the SEC with some of the best wide receivers in the country. He's always played man-to-man. Kentucky had a great defense, I thought, in the SEC in regards to how they played. And so he played with a good team. He played with a good unit. He played for, I thought, a good coach. And, I think he's going to do well here with us. I like a guy like that who has – like I said, just like the linebacker, I like a guy like that who has some type of individuality. He's not just going to toe the line because at cornerback, you got to do what you got to do out there. You talk about having help and things of that nature, and you only hear your name called when you get beat. This guy right here, he has that mentality to where, you know what, they're going to call my name and not just for getting beat. I'm going to be making plays.
Does it concern you that he started his career at LSU, suspended for the bowl game, and then transferred to Florida?
Yeah.
To Kentucky.
No, he transferred to Kentucky, but, guys have their problems.
They just better make sure somebody gets with him and gets his priorities
right.
Because
straight.
if that doesn't happen in his career, and let's say he had the same kind of season at LSU, that he had this year at Kentucky, he's a first round. He's up there in the same equation with the other corners at the top of the draft, don't you think?
And
I mean, from a talent standpoint.
And if you think about it, LSU's not like the most strict place in the world, and they basically, I think, gave him an invitation to
That's
transfer.
the concern there.
Yeah, and so that's the concern. That and Okay, it's great that you think you have a rapping career, but football's going to pay the bill, right? You're probably not going to make the money that you're going to make in football, so he needs to understand his priorities.
Well, let's look at it like this. Let's look at it like this.
Mike Stoops was really
Mark Stoops.
Mark Stoops was mad at him because he opted out the last 2 games of the season and didn't have anything nice to say about him. But then after the pro day, he basically went on record and pointed out that this is one of the most talented corners in the draft, and he can have a long career in the NFL. Now, just got to keep himself straight.
And the thing about playing in college, he wasn't looking at getting a degree. So, he was making moves that he thought were just good for his own future. But now that your future is here, your future is now, he's got to realize that. He can do whatever he wants in the offseason or whatever. That doesn't interfere with his offseason work. But this is the time now. No distractions with pandemics and things of that nature. It's time to come here and play football, just the way no more opting out. You can't opt out of anything. But let's face it, guys, when you opt out your last 2 games, the way it was with the pandemic, to me, it's no different than opting out of a mid-level bowl game.
And that's what a lot of guys did. As the
of
draft
guys
went along, I saw other guys did it too, right? It's like, I got to protect my future here, and
so
we're not
that part I wouldn't put against him. As long as
not at all.
Whatever he did at LSU, no more of that. And as far as his music career is concerned, that's something that, of course, he has to realize taking a back burner because it ain't paying like you're going to get paid by Jerry Jones.
You got an extra room at your house?
Yeah, Everson, you can mentor him.
We need a mentor for this guy.
I'm trying to mentor my son. I ain't got time for 2 right now, so I'm done.
You know how they talk about a guy that grows up in a family where the dad's the coach and you're always talking football? We sent him to Everson, right? Sit at dinner.
But he better learn how to cook because I'm tired of cooking in the house.
All right. There were a couple of other cornerbacks, or one cornerback late in the 3rd round, and then another cornerback in the 7th round that apparently is going to get shifted to safety, who are 6'4" in height. Obviously, length was a big calling card.
And he's skinny.
The 3rd round.
How do you 6'4"
Wright.
and what did they hit?
Like 183 or something, right?
183.
That's crazy. I mean, he better pack them on. Maybe he's wiry. Is that what it is? I don't know how this skinny guy. He's not weak. He's wiry.
He needs to get in the training room and get them protein shakes going.
And no one was happy about that pick. I mean,
it
didn't grade out well at all.
That's because the experts had him as a 7th rounder.
Wow.
Yeah,
the experts did. But then you talk to some of those experts, and since they were ranked. Dane Brugler does a great job. He did an unbelievable job year-round studying it, and Dane, you can't rank them all as
right.
3rd-round picks, and he had him. And what happens in that whole mock draft community is the others get into it in January, and you don't have time enough in your day to go through 350 prospects, and so if Dane's got him ranked 300th or whatever. You don't get and so you just you put him down.
Yeah, they haven't even looked at him. You really don't study him. And when you look, let's just look at numbers here. Okay, you got 4.40. At 6'4", you run a 4.40.
Yeah.
That's pretty doggone good. And so if you're talking about being a safety, depending on what type of instincts he has, what type of recognition he has, you're talking about an extremely rangy young man at safety. And I could see that happening with the Cowboys.
So Dane had him as the 38th ranked corner.
And Mel Kiper had him as 44th. So there you go.
But, but to Dane's credit, when he was on the draft show here at DallasCowboys.com, and he pointed out, he goes, well, sometimes I make a mistake. I'm not going to say they're wrong. He goes, there's only so many guys we can look at, and, maybe I missed it. Not everybody else would say that. It's like, what are they doing? Here's where I had them.
And they don't even look at him. They really don't even study this guy.
But I know Dane does, and he might be a 7th rounder when he was on the tape from Oregon State.
Right.
But he's, as a 6'4", 183-pounder, they're looking at him as a guy that they can develop. And other teams, once you get into the third or fourth round, and that was a late third. That was basically a fourth-round pick. We're talking the 99th pick in the draft. Right. That's the sweet spot to try to grab those developmental guys.
Right? Third round pick.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is, they were probably, in fact, Jerry Jones talked about this at the end of the draft on Saturday when they were on the clock at 99. They had 4 players that they were interested in. And Jerry said, as it turned out, we got 3 of the 4 players, whatever. So I would assume that Jabril Cox was probably one of those guys because he was their next pick. Maybe Josh Ball may have been one of the guys. And so they got fortunate where they got other guys that they were thinking about at 99. And the other part of it is Wright goes at 99, and then there was like 4 cornerbacks that went bang, 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 bang right after that. It was like once other teams saw that, oh wait, that guy went at 99. We better get these other guys cornerbacks.
And he's got a dimension they were looking at. They're looking
exactly
for, right?
That's right.
And
they're looking for Richard Sherman.
The kid didn't. The kid didn't do his interview after he was picked. Like, oh God, I'm shocked. He was like, no, I'm going to be the best corner on the team.
That's right.
And
now
he's all right.
He's a guy from Oakland, I believe, the Oakland area, who he went to City College in San Francisco, and then he went to college at San Mateo, and then he went to Laney College, which is the college that's being featured on, what's the name of the show?
30,
Last Chance U. Last Chance. And in fact, his brother is on that. Was on the Last Chance U show that was based at Laney College, whatever, and he's now at Oregon State also. So that's the road he's taken and then he plays for 2 years at Oregon State and plays well, So
I love guys that just don't give up, because the stories out there, they aren't all as great as Michael Parsons or even Chauncey Golston or somebody like that.
How about Richard Sherman? I mean, Sherman went to Stanford, but he was fifth round. Yeah, but he was a 5th round draft pick, and so somebody said that no, you can't do it, and by golly, he did it.
That's right. That's what us cornerbacks are
Someone
stubborn.
told Everson Walls he can't do it, right?
We're so stubborn.
What round did you go in again?
I didn't. Hey, I have been boycotting the draft for decades.
And there was 12 rounds when he was in the draft.
Man, but it only took 2 days, so yeah.
I wonder where Mel Kiper Jr. had you.
Oh, don't even start. I'm so mad at the draft guys. I only got back into this because I had to do my research with you guys.
That's right.
Otherwise, I never look at the draft. As far as I'm concerned, don't get me started, guys. Let's move on.
All right.
I'll put a damper on this thing.
We continue with more of our draft recap. And whatever Mickey has in front of him, he's got all sorts of stuff in front of him when Mick Shots continues in a moment.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. When there's work to be done, a real workhorse can make all the difference. Like the Range Boss package. Our 5075E John Deere 75 horsepower tractor features a bell spear and loader and starts at $369 per month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay. No surprises. It works like a horse, so you don't have to.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now, let's get to work.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys? Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to Mick Shots.
Get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join Dallas Cowboys United presented by Globe Life. Starting at just $20. Join now and get your exclusive fan pack and member benefits. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United for details.
All right, we're running down this Cowboys draft, getting Mickey and Everson's take on the picks that the Cowboys made, and we talked about the last third-round pick, the 2 defensive linemen that went earlier in the third round. Osa Odigizua out of UCLA.
I said it right. I said it right.
Yeah, and Chauncey Golston from Iowa. Odigizua, who was a 3-time state champion wrestler in high school.
Heavyweight.
Yeah.
And was awfully good. So maybe he can wrestle well. As it looks like he's probably a
nose
3
tackle,
technique.
defensive tackle. You better be able to wrestle well. Plus, he's a little bit undersized. But,
I think he's a 3 technique.
Yeah, but he's still extremely active for a 3 technique. I mean, you're talking about 11 and a half sacks. And I like the tackles for losses. That's what I look for in all of these. 27 tackles for losses.
Both those guys had identical numbers,
didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't they? And that just shows initiative. You're not just sitting up there waiting on something to happen. You're being aggressive, and that's what I like about it, especially from a nose tackle. And you're being aggressive like that. You're getting tackles for losses, 27 and a half of them. That's a lot of tackles for losses.
It's time to get back to playing that way up front instead of playing catch.
Right.
And they were playing catch last year, and they didn't catch well.
And he's not. To me, he's not. He knows he's not big enough to catch. He's only 282.
Got to go.
You got to go. And you got to move.
You
know what I mean? So his footwork and that wrestling ability, I think that's going to bode well for him inside.
It's like, I can't remember. I got it written down in here how many bench reps.
Really?
6'1 and a half, and so he's the type of get up under a
he looks
lineman
good.
And
he looks good.
Drive him back.
He doesn't look like he has much body fat at all. For somebody 82 pounds, that's pretty impressive.
He had 25 bench reps. Yeah, his older brother, Oa Odigizua, was a third-round pick of the Giants in 2015, and he was more of an edge guy. And I think he had injuries, and so he only lasted in the league a couple of years. But he was drafted 74th by the Giants, and Odigizua went 75th to the Cowboys here. I saw an interview with Jim Mora Jr., who was his coach at UCLA, recruited him to UCLA before he was gone and Chip Kelly came in. And he's very high on Odigizua. He thinks that he's really going to have a nice career. And he did say, no, you don't want to play him at the nose. You want to play him. He thinks that he can develop into a 3 technique, and you can even play him on the edge some.
Right.
So, and then Chauncey Golston, the kid from Iowa. I mean, you look at him, and he's the Tyrone Crawford replacement. I think. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. Kind of a
and he's
defensive
high
end,
character guy, really high captain
inside.
guy.
Yeah, I thought those 2 picks. Everybody
270 pounds. It's a big dude.
Yeah.
And then I think the best pick outside of Parsons, the pick I liked the best in the draft was Jabril Cox.
Right.
The first pick of the 4th round. I think that, when you look at him, what he did at North Dakota State, and then North Dakota State wasn't going to play a season. When the pandemic hit, he transfers to LSU, and he does the exact same stuff at LSU that he did at North Dakota State.
You're
so
talking
he proved
a guy
at that level that he can do this.
His 3 years he started at North Dakota State, they won the national championship. So he's got 3 national championships. He was a graduate, so he could transfer and pick up a 5th year at LSU, and played well, versatile there. Some people, was like, well, sometimes against the run he misses tackles and this and that. I like his versatility.
He's a space guy.
That's the word I was going to use.
And that's the linebackers. The Dick Butkus era is over. you got to be able to drop into coverage, and you want linebackers that don't have to come off the field when you go in your nickel, and because teams will say, okay, they're a nickel, well, let's run. We'll go 3 wide, spread them out, and see if the linebackers can do it. And again, he's another guy like Parsons that if he's on the field, is he playing the run? Is he dropping into coverage? Is he blitzing? He can do different things, and I thought that pick, I thought, made the Cowboys draft. And if that pick didn't make it, then the next guy did, the offensive tackle from Marshall, Josh Ball.
Okay, tell us about Josh Ball.
Well, let's go into it because
it ain't pretty.
There was the asterisk next to his name, why he had to leave Florida State, and it ended up being one of these deals where you're a young man and you got yourself into trouble with a girlfriend. There was some, domestic abuse there that she reported. He never got charged with anything, and and everybody knows that he got suspended at Florida State, but it was by the Judiciary Committee, which is the student body committee that goes over student
activities,
conduct when things go wrong. So they suspended him for a year, and when it came to the legal part, I guess she filed an injunction for him to stay away, and he agreed. I think they both agreed to sign for the injunction to stay away. And he ended up transferring to Butler Junior College in Kansas, played a year, and Florida State wanted him back. He was starting, and the uproar continued. And so he thought the best thing was to move back to Virginia, closer to his parents, and he went to Marshall. And all I know is I saw this stat on him that in 687 college snaps, he allowed 3 sacks. He's 6'8", 310, basically.
6'7" and 3/8.
Okay. I rounded it off. I took that license.
You rounded up, Spags.
You don't want the 6'8" offensive lineman, though, because he's not versatile enough to play guard, right?
He has
35-inch arms. That's the key.
He's got the 35-inch arms. I was scared to measure mine.
I need to measure my arms because I have 36-inch sleeves. Is it the same? I don't have 36-inch arms, though. Yeah, so I'm wondering what's his shirt size? Does it 35? If you have 35-inch arms, I don't know where they measure it from. I think they measure it from like your back, middle of your back.
I thought you mean like the shoulder blade?
I'm not sure. So when he buys a shirt, does he have to get 38-inch sleeves? They don't because they don't have them. They barely have 36-inch sleeves.
Mine are like 33, 32.
We could get Henry Stroka down here and he'd measure it out for us.
Chris Beam said we can get Henry Stroka down here and he can measure our arms and see.
Probably can run to the 40 too. If you
I don't want my hands
measured.
I guess that's all I know.
I'm pretty sure I have. My arm's probably longer than yours. Right, Bill?
I got what size shirt do you wear?
I'm same as you, 36.
36, yeah.
Guess I'm a guard then.
Do you remember what your hands measured at?
I don't recall anybody ever measuring my hands. You was at Grambling, man. Nobody give a damn about what Grambling people's hands like.
Hands, arms.
That's why you didn't get drafted.
They brought out a clock.
If they would have measured your hands.
I think they timed me by.
Look how big his hands are. No wonder he had 57 interceptions.
They timed me by the game clock on the scoreboard.
So I know
2-minute warning goes to both benches.
Right. So I know his past came up, his history came up. Obviously, I thought he answered the questions well. That I'm moving forward. I've put that behind me. I wasn't going to let that stop me. And then the Cowboys, I thought, answered it about we checked into it. It wasn't like we just dismissed it. And I think Jerry's point was, I always admire somebody that gets knocked down like that, makes a mistake, and then rectifies everything and changes. So we'll see. But to me, if this guy is good enough to start at Florida State, maybe he's good enough to step in here and challenge to be the backup swing tackle. He was a left tackle. I'm guessing if you can play left tackle, you ought to be able to play right tackle. And if you look at the Cowboys' depth chart at the tackle position, I know they signed Ty Nsekhe, a veteran, but this guy's like 35 going on 36. A local guy from Arlington, right, Bill? And so, and then the guys that played last year, Terrence Steele, who started a bunch of games, but, I don't know how well he played as an undrafted rookie. And then you've got Brandon Knight and Mitch Hyatt, and, none of those guys have been drafted.
Mickey, you know who else was good enough to start at Florida State?
Who was that?
Cam Irving.
Yes, I know. But you know what? He ended up playing in the league, right?
He was a first-round draft pick.
I mean, how many years? Last year was
He's
like
still
6
in the
or
league.
7, and somebody signed him to a multi-year deal. Well,
let's be.
I don't know what tape they were looking at.
This is something we stop. This is something that we need to be concerned about. When you're talking about players that have personal issues like Ball, and you're talking about this pandemic easing. Let's just remember the last time we had the pandemic, it was 1918, 1919. Then what followed that was the Roaring 20s. Okay, let's be clear about that.
Everybody broke out.
Everybody just it's going crazy. So
Not even I remember that. Okay,
we could possibly have a lot of problems off the field with a lot of players. Just because, and not, of course, we're just a reflection of society itself. As we have a lot of issues in society coming off of this, I think the more issues we have from other individuals, then we're going to have these same proportion of problems in regards to the players themselves, because now we're going to be out there a lot more, and there are going to be a lot of problems waiting on you while you're out there. So if you already have issues in the past, then you need to be very, very careful. And I think the Cowboy organization needs to be aware of that, because this is going to be an unusual year coming back from last year's dismal season. I mean, the entire NFL had a dismal season. And now all of a sudden we're facing freedom.
Yep. Free at last, free at last.
Free at last. And now all of a sudden people are going to be out there going buck wild, and you have to be under control in regards to that. So you got to watch yourself, Mickey. Don't get out there going crazy.
Yeah, right. They're already going wild, right?
Mickey,
how many thousand people did they have at the Rangers game?
That's right. Mickey, who's the Cowboys' fourth wide receiver right now?
I think that's a spot that's up for grabs. You would probably say Cedric Wilson.
Yes, that's what I would
But I
say.
don't think it's solidified.
I would say that.
And then who is your who are your top 3 wide receivers next year if Michael Gallup leaves in free agency?
You need one.
That's right. That's what one of my things. We're talking defense in this draft, and one of my things is, okay, what about wide receiver? Yeah, wide receiver looks great with your top 3. It looks great. But there is you need to stay ahead of the curve on that, and realizing that Gallup's going into his last year, Cooper's contract where it is, and at some point, is he going to play out the entirety of the contract?
Cedric's on a 1-year deal.
And Cedric Wilson's the same as Gallup, same draft,
right.
and so I thought, as much as we're harping on defense, if there was a wide receiver in the 3rd round that you really like, I wouldn't have minded using one of those 3rd-round picks on a wide receiver. And you can go back in history where it has affected the Cowboys, where they thought they were fine at wide receiver. I'll go back to 2008. Jordy Nelson is sitting there in the 2nd round. The Cowboys have 2 first-round picks, Felix Jones and Mike Jenkins, okay? T.O. is on his last legs with the Cowboys, whatever. We're thinking, well, they don't need a wide receiver. Why would you take a wide receiver with one of those late first-round picks? Well, Jordy Nelson turned out pretty well. That 2008 season, what happens? The Cowboys have a problem at wide receiver, and they wind up trading for Roy Williams, giving up the 2009 first-round draft pick.
And
So not only the 08 season, things were catapulting, but it catapults to the 09 draft, okay? Then fast forward to 2017, okay? In that draft, the Cowboys take Taco Charlton in the first round. They take Cheeto Awuzie in the in the second. I know they love Juju Smith-Schuster. He was in for a visit, whatever. He went the pick after Cheeto. Well, what happened that year? That was Dez's last year. And the Cowboys then the next year, they were so desperate at wide receiver, they got to trade a first-round draft pick to get Amari Cooper in there. My point is, you have to stay ahead of the curve on wide receiver. Hopefully, Simi Fehoko in the 5th round might be able to be one of those guys who can project on down the road as being a guy.
You didn't like that idea that year? They were going to have receiver by committee?
Right, exactly.
That's fine if the committee's good.
I got to say, guys, if you don't find that third receiver who would be of the caliber of a Gallup or someone like that, the tight end position has to be very prominent. It's something that needs to be very important in your game plan.
Which, by the way, I saw Jarwin out there.
How's he looking?
He was running.
Look good?
Running.
I love that. To me, he was my favorite. I mean, I talked about
and
him
I keep telling everybody about Lael Collins. He does his rehab with Dak, and whatever drills Dak does, not throwing because they're not throwing out here, he's doing the same, and he's moving awfully well, and he looks like he's lost some weight too. So I think that's very encouraging, and I've been told both of those guys, Tyron Smith and Lael Collins, that they're counting on them to be right back where they were before their surgeries.
And what about Jarwin?
And Jarwin was running just well.
And the best thing about Jarwin's injury, it happened on September 12th, not December 12th,
So by the time they play a game, he'll be a full year removed, right?
And it was an ACL, right?
It was an ACL.
Yeah, and usually ACLs, not all ACLs are the same.
If it's not complicated.
Yeah, if it's not complicated, then he should be good to go. He's out there running now.
Yeah.
So,
he'll be able to probably take part in
if
most
they have
of their
OTAs.
that can take a big load off your third receiver. It really can.
Right.
It can take a big load off.
Gallup was a 3rd-round pick. So this guy, if you read him and if you listen to him, none of these guys come in here lacking for confidence, by the way.
That's true.
You know where Dane Brugler had Fehoko?
Where?
As a 3rd-round pick.
Did he
and the
really?
Cowboys got him in the 5th round. But the Cowboys aren't being praised for that.
Right. But you know what I noticed, though, locally and Cowboy fans, it's always going to be a complaint on the draft. That's just what you're supposed to do. But I saw a couple national things that had the Cowboys in one of the best drafts among some of the teams.
It's no doubt it's one of the best because we answered our needs. And that's the main thing.
And
if you
got
answer
the best
your needs,
defensive player in the draft.
On, you can't beat that. You can't beat it. You can nitpick all you want. Somebody doesn't like Jabril Cox. Somebody doesn't like somebody else. Somebody doesn't like the wide receiver. You can pick it all you want. I want to see what happens in training camp.
Yeah.
I'm sure when Buffalo signed all those great players, the players that are great right now on their defensive line or on their defense, I'm sure someone complained about at least one of those picks that Buffalo had. Now they got like an amazing defensive line. So I never heard of any of them, until they start kicking our butts. And I think that's the way it's going to be here. Until they start balling on the field, everybody just shut up until they show me otherwise.
Stick those grades in your pocket.
There you go, man.
That's what I wrote today. I said if you graded the Cowboys draft on the 2 linebackers that they ended up getting, the best one in the draft in the 1st and Jabril Cox in the 4th, they get an A+.
That's right.
Because those guys,
especially
they can make
if you're
difference.
playing a base 3-4 defense.
Yeah.
And
you don't know what those guys are doing. That's the best part of it. They're so versatile that you can, and that's what Dan Quinn talked about, the versatility.
And see, that's what I was going to say. The versatility with all the defensive players we signed, and it wasn't just not the D linemen I'm talking about, but the linebackers in the secondary. If you look at that, we can disguise so many things as opposed to coming out with the defense that we had last year. And we had my man Jordan Lewis who's out there getting trucked. Doing the best he can on pass, but he's getting trucked on the run defense.
Him and Anthony Brown both.
And
they
now
made Anthony
we've got
Brown
guys,
play a
Cox can get in
spot.
there, Parsons can be moved all over.
Right.
We've got safeties and cornerbacks now that can be intertwined. To me, I think that's the word I was going to use. It gave us a lot of versatility.
And that's how Quinn answered my question during this press conference Saturday night. When I said, have you done enough in the draft and in the offseason to fix what the Cowboys' biggest problem was last year, stopping the run? And he basically said, we've got guys that we can have different packages. and be versatile with our packages and fit to what a team's doing.
And they'll have time in the offseason to work on it.
And he even mentioned if a team wants to play 2 tight ends, we should be capable of matching up. If he said 60% of the time you're in nickel, we should be able to match up now. And so
teams are going to come out.
Sure.
Have you learned your lesson?
Yeah.
We will see.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out with the 2 tight ends in one situation.
Don't be coming out with 2 tight ends and I got a darn safety playing strong side linebacker.
That's right.
Now I've got at least a corner / safety in Keanu Neal that I could say, okay, you play that.
Yeah, we're not
spot.
even talking about the signings we made outside the draft.
And he pointed out the ability of Carlos Watkins and Brett Urban. Their ability to kind of big guys to put there in the middle. And you see Tristan Hill rehabbing, moving really well after he tore his ACL. You get him back, and Neville Gallimore with a year of experience under his belt, and I like him.
Of course, we all do.
And I thought at the end of the year he had figured it out.
Yep.
Well, it might have taken some time. I don't know how they taught him, but he figured it out towards the end of the year, and he's not out there playing catch anymore. The old, what was it? The old TV show, the Yo Rennie. Remember the dog? You set the dog to attack.
What year was this?
Was this black and white?
1960. Yes, absolutely.
1960.
I'm sorry, I missed that one.
You guys didn't watch Rin Tin Tin?
I was probably 2.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Seriously.
What's the name of it?
Rin Tin Tin.
No.
Oh, okay, yeah, Rin Tin Tin.
I didn't watch it. No.
But you said Yo Ren. I don't know.
Yo Rennie.
I never knew that.
You're too young. I forgot.
We're the same age.
He got us on that one. Yeah.
That's right.
Yo Neville, go get him.
Okay, I think we're about out of time.
Yeah, we're way out of time. We're going back in time. That's what we're doing.
All right, that does it for Mick Shots, and we will see you again live in studio next Tuesday.
Together.
Yeah. Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?